Hi, how are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today we are talking about the right hand or the trail hand trick to help you get the perfect takeaway. Right, what is happening? You have choices in the takeaway as I've discussed before, but one of the things that you want is obviously what I'm going to be talking about today, because it's going to help you get the club moving back on your ideal plane. Just to clarify, two common problems, shall we say, that tend to happen in the takeaway. Problem number one is that golfers that are trying to compress the golf ball or strike the ball better tend to start with too much shaft lean. Now the problem is when you start with too much shaft lean, you can see the way the shaft is already in line with my lead hand. And the problem is, as you'll understand from this video, this encourages the club to work immediately under plane. So it's a big problem. The other thing that tends to happen in the takeaway position is that you tend to see amateur golfers tend to over rotate the kind of trail forearm going back, which again tends to introduce a high rate of rotation on the club face. So again, exasperating this idea of the club traveling too much underplane in the takeaway. Now, the truth is that you could recover that position. So if you're somebody who actually strikes it pretty well and you're pretty accurate and consistent, then you can leave it alone. But one of the things that you'll find is that you're probably doing the same sort of thing in the chipping and the pitching, and therefore you probably don't have the time to initiate these changes. So it's definitely worth watching. What should happen in the takeaway is that when we hold the club, depending on how you grip the club, will change the amount of angulation between the lead hand and the lead forearm. When I adopt an orthodox grip, what you can see is that if I grip the club in the fingers, and I take pretty much an orthodox hold, what you can see is that it introduces the element of correct shaft angle, and you can also see the way that there is still this difference between where the shaft is running relative towards my lead arm. So you can still see the way there is angulation between these two. Now the reason why you have to have that is because in the takeaway, the first move is to create a hinge. See the way as I create a hinge now, the way these align back up. And then therefore what is happening is that's helping me in that first move keep the club on plane. Now that's the problem if you start with forward press. It's like, well, you can't introduce the hinge without the club going under plane. So that's definitely the first thing to watch out. Therefore, what should this hand be doing? Well, the idea is that it's going to be hinging. It's going to be moving like so. Just the back of the wrist is going up toward the sky in that first move. And what that is doing in turn is that's helping creating this hinging motion, and it's keeping the club face nice and square in that takeaway move, and therefore the shaft is pointing down towards your ball to target line. Now, if you chose to swing on a slightly more vertical angle, the feeling is still the same. Do you know what I mean? It just changes. There'll be just a different amount of degree of rotation, and it just changes how the club face looks. So if you're somebody who looks like so, then it's fine. If you're somebody who looks like so, then it's fine. But the written rule that can be applied to every golfer is that when you hold the club, you don't want to introduce too much of a forward press, so you want to avoid the shaft getting in line with your lead forearm. And then from here, what this will do is this will encourage the club to go under plane. You want to get that shaft angle so it's at a different angle relative to the lead arm in the set position. Then you can create a hinge to get them back in line. But on this occasion, you can see that it helps you sequence the correct takeaway. And the feeling is, regardless as to whether you want to go over here or under here, is the back of that reed wrist goes up towards the sky, or if you like, your palm stays facing down towards the ground in that first part of the takeaway. That will help you get that sequence, whether it comes into things like chipping or whether it's things like whatever, pitching, full shots, it's definitely going to help you out, and that is what you need to feel to help you get that better takeaway sequence. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Always appreciate a thumbs up and a like. Remember, it's absolutely free to press that subscribe button. If you can do so, you might as well press the little bell icon, because that means you receive notifications every time a new video comes out. Work on that takeaway. I'll catch you guys again soon.